Welcome to another post on your leadership coach. Today, I want to talk about a phrase that I recently heard, and here's how it goes: the pleasure of inferiority. Sounds odd, doesn't it? I mean, when we think about being inferior to somebody else, we don't derive pleasure or joy from us, right? Like our society says that if you want joy, then you need to be superior. You need to be on top, if you will. But as I've thought and processed it through this a little bit more, and I look back kind of over my journey, you know what I realized? Man, that the road to fulfillment and ironically success actually goes through a mindset of inferiority. So let me unpack that a little bit. And I want to use an illustration that Simon Sinek talks about. And he calls this that he's okay with being the idiot in the room. In fact, he tells a story about this, okay? He tells a story that years ago when he had his marketing company, he got hired by this publicly traded company, and they asked him to sit in on this presentation that another consultant was doing. So it's him, all these C-level executives in the room, and this consultant. So the consultant's giving a presentation, and Simon is saying, I don't understand a word of what this person's talking about. Like, it's just literally going over my head. So he goes, at one point, he raises his hand, he goes, hey, I'm sorry. I know I'm the only person in this room that doesn't have an MBA, but you say that A plus B equals C, but as I'm looking at this, according to your logic, it really feels like A plus B equals D. He goes, could you explain this a little bit more? Consultant explains it, and Simon goes, hey, I'm so sorry. I still don't understand this. And you can tell that the consultant is getting frustrated. But then here's what happens. Simon says that all of a sudden, a few of the other executives go, I don't understand it either. And then before you knew it, every executive is asking questions to clarify this, and they're not understanding it. It took, as Simon in his words says, the idiot in the room to bring this out. And so one of the things he talks about is that it takes courage to acknowledge that you don't know something. It takes courage to ask questions and to be able to gain that understanding. So when we talk about this inferior mindset, we're not talking about an inferiority that says these people are better than me, they're more valuable, therefore I should be degraded in some way. That's not what we're talking about. An inferior mindset is recognizing that, you know what, there's some things that I know, but there's a lot of other things that I don't know, and there are people who have more knowledge than me and some others. Really what we're talking about is it's a learner's mindset, right? That's the shift in our thinking that we need to have. Ryan Holiday, in his book, Ego is the Enemy, says this about knowledge. He says the pretense of our knowledge is our most dangerous vice because it prevents us from getting any better. You see, when we think we've arrived somewhere, when we think that we are now at the pinnacle, at the top, whether it's our profession or a skill level or a hobby, right, or whatever that is, immediately that skill or piece of knowledge, it begins to atrophy. And if we're not careful, we can stunt our personal and or professional growth. So for us, we have to have a learner's mindset of wanting to constantly improve and grow in areas. And guess what? When we do that, there's pleasure, there's joy. I mean, think about how freeing this is, this mindset where I don't have to compete necessarily with other people. Yes, I want to strive for excellence. Yes, I want to become the best version of myself, but I don't have to know it all. I don't have to be the top dog in everything. Like, I can be free to say, yes, there's some things that I know really well, but there's other things that I'm still learning. I don't have to be always on. Oh, that's freeing. And you know what really the goal is for us when we have this learner's mindset is? I'm a better version of myself than I was 6 months ago, and my goal is that I'll continue to be a better version of myself 6 months from now. So here's our game plan with it, okay? Ryan Holiday also talks about in his book, Ego is the Enemy, that self-awareness, self-assessment is the antidote to this, okay? So we need to be self-aware. We need to know the things that, yeah, we have some knowledge in, but we also need to recognize that there's more to be able to grow, right? We know our strengths, our weaknesses. I've talked a ton on Your Leadership Coach about self-awareness. The second thing that we can do is become a beginner. at something, like learn a new skill that you don't have much of a reference with, that you don't have much of a experiential foundation, right, from your past in that area. There is something freeing and joyful about starting from the beginning and being a rookie. For me, this year, it's learning Spanish. Like yes, I know a little bit of Spanish, but I'm just wanting to become better at it. And I'll tell you what, it's been a struggle. It's been fun. It's been frustrating in between, but it's something fun about learning something that I don't have a high skill in right now. So learn something new. Well, tell me, I'll ask you this. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think about this mindset, right? The pleasure of inferiority. You can leave a comment in the section below. And let me leave you with our tweetable lesson. It's by Flannery O'Connor. And he says that the first product of self-knowledge is humility.